This is episode 50 with Alex Kennedy and Oliver Maroney.
I was talking with someone and they were very early on in Top Shot. They had bought, $50,000 worth of moments and packs. They were going after like Zion moments and Luka moments. Their account, they spent $50,000. In December, it was worth, I think, $150,000. And then right now it's worth, I think, $9.6 million, which blew my mind. It's just crazy. So people who were, invested in this early on, they're millionaires right now. It's crazy.
This is the Sports Business Classroom audio experience. If you recognize the voice, let me put a name with it. I'm Bo Estes, a host on NBA TV and an announcer on NBA.com, and I'm one of the instructors at SBC. Welcome to the show. Now, breaking into the world of sports can seem daunting, but if you're looking for a leg up, you've come to the right place. Each week, we talk to top-notch figures all across the industry to bring you lessons and advice to learn from. Thanks for spending some time with us today, and let the experience begin. Landing a job in the NBA is no easy feat, no matter if it's as a player, front office exec, agent, or even in the league offices. But one surefire way to put yourself ahead of a competitive talent pool is an extensive knowledge of the collective bargaining agreement. And Larry Kuhn is undoubtedly, and I can't stress this enough, undoubtedly the leading expert on planet Earth on the subject, and he's been teaching the material to teams, agents, media, and students now for over 20 years. And for the first time ever, he has an online course containing all of his material available for purchase to the general public. CBA Mastery with Larry Kuhn is available on demand with no expiration, so you'll have access to this material whenever you need it. To learn more and enroll, please visit sportsbusinessclassroom.com today. So, confession time here. I'm not the spring chicken that I really wish I was. In fact, I've been involved with the NBA in some form or another for over 25 years now. And if there's one thing I'm associated with by NBA fans, it's NBA highlights. I started my career as a highlight editor, and now a big part of my job is being an NBA highlight announcer. I've been the digital voice for the NBA for 10 years now. So when the whispers about NBA Top Shot morphed into an out-and-out digital gold rush for NBA highlights, I felt obliged to look into it. So with that as background, I invited onto the show this week a couple of friends who host NBA Top Shot Weekly. I'm talking about Alex Kennedy and Oliver Maroney. Both of these gentlemen have already had successful careers in NBA media, but were early adopters of NBA Top Shots and are now leading voices in the community. My hope in this episode is to provide a very easy, user-friendly on-ramp into the world of NBA Top Shots. I want people to understand this thing. I want to answer the dumb questions that I had, and in doing so, get answers for you, the listeners, to questions perhaps you had. Oliver and Alex try to walk slowly through some of the terms and answer some of the most basic questions about NBA Top Shots over the next hour, and in doing so, they provided a window into what the future of this rapidly growing hobby and collector's item might be. All right, Alex, Oliver, welcome into the show. Thanks so much for joining us. And I want to start off sort of as the old guy in the room. Walk me through this. Explain it to me in very basic steps. What is NBA Top Shot? Or as Oliver said it on your show, yo, what is this? Give me the details. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, I mean, I think to summarize it and simplify it as best I possibly can, think of it like sports cards meets the digital world, where there's also some daily fantasy and some other aspects, kind of almost like stock market training thrown in. And what you get is essentially a website. You can go in and you can purchase your favorite player's moment, quote unquote. Now, not all moments are on the site, but there are moments like if you are a big LeBron James fan, and I'm a big LeBron James fan, I'm going to go type in LeBron James on NBA Top Shot, and you're going to see a bunch of different clips, highlight clips of LeBron James. And essentially what these are is they're digital cards or digital collectibles. You can click on one of them. They all have their own serial number associated to them, just like sports cards. So for people who don't know about sports cards or the most expensive sports cards are the rare ones that people typically tend to keep, grade, trade, whatever the case may be. They all have a serial number associated to them, which makes them or declares them more valuable or rare. And so with Top Shot, everything is serialed, whether it's a LeBron James moment that's to 35,000. So essentially there's 35,000 of those exact moment, or it's a LeBron James to number to 49, which you'll see on the site when you go in there and kind of peruse around what we call the marketplace. But essentially, if I wanted to buy a LeBron James moment, I could go in there, you can buy a moment, and essentially what that does is it registers you as the owner on what's called a blockchain. And a blockchain is essentially just the rights to own something on the internet. That's the easiest way I could kind of explain it to you. Think of it like, Bo, you have a car, right? Or a vehicle of some sort, I assume. Yeah. Okay. So you bought the car, but now you're going to the online DMV to register that moment or that purchase. So same sort of idea applies to this. You're going to the NBA Top Shot site, you're purchasing it from them, and now you are declared that owner over the blockchain. So that's in simplest form, that's how I would explain it to somebody who's new and doesn't really understand how it works or what it looks like. But you're buying and trading digital moments and you're owning them in your own little collection.
And one thing I want to stress throughout this show is you're going to hear terms like blockchain throughout our time talking. It's much simpler than all that. If you're concerned about the term, go Google the term. It's really very simple. As Oliver points out, it's like trading cards. It's very similar to that, and the uniqueness is critical here. Now, I know Oliver was a very early adopter, and you sort of yanked Alex in, but Alex wasn't initially all in. You were a bit skeptical. Tell me the story, Alex. You were a bit skeptical at first, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know much about blockchain or cryptocurrency or any of this kind of stuff. Oliver has always really been into crypto, and he's been kind of ahead of the curve on a lot of stuff. So whenever we were in our group chat, all of our friends, he was talking about this, and I was making all the same comments that I hear different fans make now.
Like right?
Yeah, basically saying like, what is this? And then I was basically saying, oh, here, I'll save you a bunch of money. I'll just say, and I sent a YouTube link, or hey, here's a GIF. Like, it's the same thing. Why are we paying money for a highlight that we don't really own? So I was making a lot of the same arguments. And then once I kind of talked to Oliver and did my research on it, a week later, I was spending, hundreds of dollars on the marketplace buying moments. So I was definitely one of the people that was a doubter and, cracking jokes early on. And then eventually Oliver kind of explained it to me, and then I figured it out. But yeah, I mean, I was one of those people early on that was like, hey, you don't own this, the NBA owns it. And why wouldn't I just go to YouTube to look up a highlight? And then what I didn't understand was really the value is in the collectible aspect of it. Yes, you can go to YouTube and look up a highlight or share a GIF with your friend. Just like if you had a trading card, you can go to Google Images and look up a picture of that card. You don't actually own the card. It doesn't actually have any value if you just print it out. So yeah, I had to kind of get past that hurdle. And then once I did that, then I'm a huge trading card fan. I always was growing up. I had baseball cards, basketball cards, football cards. So once I got past that hurdle, I was all in.
You guys are sort of the face of this thing now. And if anybody's been on NBA Twitter, they know who you guys are. But now you're sort of the face of this NBA Top Shot thing. What I'm curious about is, what is the question that you guys get the most?
The question we get the most is why wouldn't I just, look up a highlight on YouTube? That has to be the biggest one. Because people, and I get it. Like you're thinking, okay, I'm not buying anything tangible. Why would I spend X number of dollars on something when the exact same thing exists on a different website? So again, that's the biggest hurdle for people to get past. We asked Mark Cuban about it when he was on our first episode, and he basically broke it down as this is just like any other collectible. And he even said, when people buy gold, they don't have a bunch of gold bars sitting in their home. Yep. And I thought that was a great point.
It's fantastic. It's because that is the point, right? It's not something that has to be when you have gold. It's not like you're sitting there with it. You're not doing anything with it. And it's the same thing with this digital asset. You own the asset, and it's a collectible.
Right. So that's kind of the hurdle I had to get past early on. And I get people not really understanding it at first because it is kind of complicated and it's confusing. I do think, and this is something that Mark pointed out too, I think Gen Z for them, they understand it more, and because they everything to them is on their phone, and I think they're more open minded about this. So early on, they were super adamant about this, and they were on board right away. They didn't even have to be sold on it. Whereas some of us were like, oh, I don't really know about this, but that I think it's just a different way of looking at things. I think once I kind of talked to Oliver, and honestly, for me, early on, my thing was like, look, Mark Cuban, Gary V, like all these people that are much smarter than me are really interested in this and saying it's a great thing. So I'm like, okay, well, who am I to say it's not? And that's when I started really like kind of giving in and looking into it more and doing research and all that. Because I mean, I'm not going to say Mark Cuban and Gary V and all these smart people are wrong.
Well, I thought Mark Cuban was wonderful on your show because he's a guy that's more my age, but stays very current with the technology, and he understands the language. He understands the value of it. And I thought he explained it very well. What's the key for somebody to get an understanding of it? Is it the reading? Is it watching your show? How did you guys feel comfortable with it? What did you do?
I mean, for me personally, it was getting over that physical hurdle. Like, I need something physical in my hands. Like, if I purchase something, it has to be physical. And so for me to get over that fear, I had to just buy a pack. That was really my like starting point. So at the time I got in, though, I'll be very frank and honest. Now when you try and get a Top Shot pack, there's 300,000 people in line like there were today, and only 70,000 people get them. Well, when I was starting, I was just buying pack after pack after pack because they couldn't sell out of them.
When did that change, Oliver? When did that change?
It's like, it felt like there were two waves. So one was like late January, early February. That's when they implemented like the queue and the line system. So essentially what that means is like when you went to go buy a pack, they'd put you in a randomized line and you'd be number 1 through, at that point, there was maybe 50,000 people in line. And there were probably 25 to 30,000 packs. So your chances of getting them were pretty good. But then like late February, I think it's like the 21st to the 23rd. That was like the second wave where I just realized there's just no way. Like that's all gone. The good old days are gone in this Top Shot world right now.
Yeah, so, I had joined in the January one that Oliver's mentioning. So like it was me, and then like I had gotten some other friends into it. My wife actually was interested, so she made an account. And I remember there were times where early on I would get a pack, Oliver would get a pack, my wife would get a pack, and we're all just like opening them left and right. Now there's times where these drops happen. I don't know a single person that got a pack. I haven't gotten a pack, in probably a month and a half from the drops. Like it is so hard to get packs. So yeah, I think like Oliver was saying, the pack opening experience is really cool. And I think once you do open a pack,
that's a good point, Alex. The look of that, you had it on your show. The look of that is tremendous, right?
And it has the nostalgia of like opening packs of cards when you were a kid, where that's where you're like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm paying for this experience and to have the collector's item at the end that I can either sell. Yeah, there's value in it because other people are willing to pay X for it. So I think the way they laid the site out was really smart. The fact that you open the pack, it's a really cool experience. You got the music playing, and yeah, we have it on the show where you can see, and you can it plays the highlight. It shows you the number of how rare it is, and then right after that, you can go right to the marketplace and, like Oliver was saying, see what things are listed at. You can flip a card right away. I can get a moment and then turn around and flip it an hour later for 3 times the value or whatever that I paid for the pack and make money immediately.
Have you guys done that at all, or do you tend to hang on to these things more?
So my whole concept behind the Top Shot thing is it depends on what the value is to me.
Okay.
If it's then I don't want to like I don't want to be rude to a specific player, but if it's a lower tiered Sacramento Kings player, I'm probably going to try and just sell it for whatever. Well, I'll give you an instance. I got a Dennis Schroeder a few weeks ago in a pack, and I was like, okay, it's great. I can enjoy the moment. It's nice to watch, but you know what? I would rather have an RJ Barrett. So how do I get myself into an RJ Barrett? So I sell the Schroeder and I offload a couple of my other moments to get an RJ Barrett. So that's how I've always operated, is like, what players do I value? What players do I enjoy watching? What player has the moment? Like, there's one moment that I've always wanted, and I haven't done it yet, and I don't know why, but there's a Luka step back 3 against the Clippers that I've always wanted. And that'll be forever his first big playoff moment. Everybody's going to remember it because it was in the bubble. And, Mark referenced it on the show, but I've been having my eye on that for a few months now. And so that to me is the pinnacle. So however I can kind of maneuver things around and trade things to kind of get to that without offloading all my stuff, that's kind of my approach. And everybody has a different approach. And that's what makes, I think, Top Shot so cool, is that everybody can have their own opinion on how they want to operate their own little Top Shot collectible business.
Go ahead,
we
Alex.
have so one thing that we did early on, like the first pack I ever bought was actually, it was me, Oliver, and then 4 of our friends. We all went in on a pack together. They had these packs that were $999. So we were like, I was like initially very new to this. I didn't really know a whole lot about it. And I'm like, I can't justify spending $1,000 on this. So we all, 5 of us put in $200. It was, Oliver, I, and 3 friends actually. So we each put in $200, and it was like a legendary pack. So we got our big moment that we got from that pack was a really rare Rudy Gobert. I think it was numbered out of like 200. Correct me if I'm wrong, Oliver, but
I think it was
out of
99 or 200, whatever it was.
Yeah. So it was a really rare moment. It's Rudy Gobert. It's a really cool moment. So, and we paid $1,000 as a group for this pack. We turned around and we ended up flipping that moment because we were like looking at the prices and what we could sell it for. And I believe we sold it for $3,500. Is that right, Oliver?
Something around that number. Yeah.
So we were celebrating. We're going nuts. We're like, oh, we just tripled our money and this is amazing. Well, then about a week later, it's selling for like $8,000.
$8,000.
Oh my God.
$8,000. So like, but to give you, that's an example of, we put our money in, we tripled it basically overnight. But then even still, like a week later, we're kicking ourselves thinking, man, if we had held on to that, we could have gotten even more. So that was us being greedy. But we have had that experience where we flipped cards and made money right away.
This is a little bit of the fun of it too, because you're sort of like the Apple investor who sells in 1995 and you made 3 million and you're like, ooh, 3 million. And then 10 years later, you could have had 30 billion or something crazy. That's the game you're playing, right?
That's my fear though, because my whole thing is, the NBA is not even really doing a whole lot about, with Top Shot yet. Like we saw, they announced the Rising Stars through Top Shot on the website, and they're doing little things here and there. Like some of the teams are tweeting stuff out. Some players like Josh Hart and Terrence Ross are being very vocal and tweeting about it and opening packs, but we haven't really seen the NBA embrace this. I believe in the future, whether it's 2 years from now, whatever it is, I think you're going to see Top Shot commercials during games. I think you're going to see the biggest stars in the league opening packs and talking about this. I think we eventually, and Mark Cuban kind of talked about this, we could see NBA teams giving away moments to season ticket holders or to people that are at certain games. So, there's a huge dunk that happened at this game that you're at. You're rewarded by getting the moment from that game. And it's a rare moment because only the people in that arena were able to get it.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that they can do in the future to really, continue to build the relationship between Top Shot and the NBA. And again, there's so much money to be made by everyone, the league, the owners, the players. Like it just seems foolish not to, continue to build upon, where they're at right now. So that's where I'm at. I keep thinking, what could this be in 2 years from now? Am I going to regret selling any of these moments because they could be huge in the future?
Well, particularly for Oliver, I think this is true, but even for me and you, Alex, it has a feel of like, to bring it back to the gold analogy, we're the early gold miners, and we're there, and all of a sudden just whoom, a ton of people are showing up at the gold mine and everybody's looking around prospecting, trying to get involved. And that's a good thing if you're involved in something like that. And for the NBA, if you think about it, they're coming out of a pandemic, which obviously is not good financially. This seems like an avenue. Am I mistaken there?
No, I would agree with you 110%. And I'd agree with what Alex said. I mean, I think when we were in our group chat and I was trying to convince people like, look, this is it. Like, this is the next big thing. I think the big selling point to me, outside of how easy it was to transact and see the sales and all that stuff, was to see the real benefit that the NBA got out of this. Because the thing about like cards that I think is great, and also there's some downsides to it, is like, these Paninis, the Tops, all these other companies that make these trading cards, they're partnered with the NBA. The NBA doesn't really, from my knowledge, see much of a benefit long-term revenue-wise, other than the deals, like an ESPN or a marketing deal of some sort. Whereas with this, they're invested in this because they receive revenue each and every day out of the marketplace and how many sales are produced. And so, for instance, like today, pretty slow day today, but $7 million has been transacted on Top Shot so far. We have 12 hours left in our day, give or take. You know, that could be somewhere between 10 and 14 million. That's with, let's say it's 50 to 100,000 active users that are kind of trading and selling and buying and whatever else may be. As Alex says, whenever the NBA decides, okay, we want to really go gung-ho with this, let's advertise everywhere, let's talk about it, let's have fans get moments in the arena. Now you're talking a million users. And if you have a million users on the platform and they're using it daily, weekly, whatever the case may be, extrapolate, 5% of, let's say it's 60 million now. Now we're talking some big money. Now there's some real skin in the game for the NBA to be like, hey, we need to just make sure this is a stable, viable business for us long term, because that's as much as a big TV deal. That's as much as a lot of very valuable things that the NBA has. So for me, they don't have to do a ton of legwork for this to be that. And that was the major selling point to me on why this is something that can last long term, short term, and for a long time for the NBA.
I think that's why a lot of players are getting into it too, because I've talked to players who, like, their owner sat them down as a team and said, like the Washington Wizards, they all were sat down by ownership and they said, look, this is the next big thing. We can all make so much money off of this. So I think a lot of people are seeing the players on there, and I see like the tweets to players. They're like, oh, is this an endorsement deal? Are you getting paid for this? And the truth is, I don't think Top Shot's paid any players. I think they did an endorsement deal with Tyler Hero in December, and that was one of the ways that they took their user base from like 30,000 to 60,000. They were still pretty new at that point. But every player since then, I think they just see the fact that they could make some really good money in the long run if this thing blows up, just like the owners. I know the owners, the NBA made like a subcommittee, a blockchain advisory subcommittee, and it's 6 different owners that are, it's Mark Cuban on there and some others on there. So it's basically, how can we monetize this? And then the fact that you have, owners sitting down with their players and saying, we're all going to get rich off this. It just makes me think that the NBA is only going to continue to, grow the relationship over time.
Let's give some of our listeners just some basic ideas about things. Well, first of all, why are serial numbers important and what makes them more valuable than others?
Yeah, I mean, serial numbers. It's interesting. Everybody has their own opinion on serial numbers, but for the general most part, the lower the serial number, the more value there is in it. So, if you have a number 1 serial, you've hit the bank. You've hit the big one. Jersey.
No matter the moment, Oliver. No matter the moment.
I'd say any moment, generally speaking, on the platform. If you have a number 1 moment, you're in for at least a few $1,000s, if not more.
A LeBron James number 1 is going to be worth more than a Jarrett Culver number 1.
Absolutely,
but a number 1 is still good.
Yeah, gotcha. No matter what. Those are still good. And then second to that, I would say, or kind of on par with that, would be jersey numbers. So the number 23 for LeBron James stands out. Obviously players who wear number 1, I think you see a little bit higher valuation there as well, because you've got the number 1 and you've got their jersey numbers. So
matching those two things up has a little extra value.
Absolutely. But other than that, I mean, really what you see is anything. I think what people look at specifically, you'll see this when you scroll through the marketplace and you go to like a specific moment. Let's say we go to a LeBron James moment. You scroll through in the 2-digit range, so anything 1 through basically 99, you're going to see a value there that's much greater than 100 to 1,000. And that's just basically because there's 2 digits instead of 3 digits. And obviously the lower the serial number, the more value is there with those as well. Any LeBron James serial under 1,000, I could venture to guess most of them are well over $1,000. And so the value there is very high. The only other time that the value gets pretty high is if it's the last possible serial number. So we're talking, let's say they made 5,000 of them, your number 5,000, that's going to be worth a lot more as well. And to be honest with you, I don't have a strategy behind that. I don't know why it is. That is what collectors deem valuable. And I think it was Terrence Ross who mentioned to me, it's like, well, if it's got value associated with it, it's got value associated with it. You got to pay whatever that is. So I think that, that everybody has their own way of doing things, but it seems like that is the general public's kind of concept of what is valuable and what isn't in terms of the serial numbers and why they're important.
Is there a good strategy for a beginner to get involved in? And my off the top of my head advice would be to watch your show NBA Top Shot Weekly and watch them open a pack. I feel like that absolutely changed everything for me, but I know rookies are more valuable. Bubble stuff, Mark Cuban talked about being maybe more valuable down the road. Is there a good strategy in you guys' mind, Alex, that to get people involved if they're just sticking their toes in the water?
Yeah, I think it's similar to like when you're collecting trading cards. You know, the superstar players are worth a lot. So if you can get a LeBron James or a Kevin Durant or a Luka or one of those guys, that's amazing. If not, I tend to go after the rookies because rookie moments like rookie trading cards are worth more because they're rare. It's from the guy's rookie season. Eventually, I know Top Shot's going to be adding badges onto a lot of moments. So if
what
you
does that mean? What's a badge mean?
Yeah, so basically you'll have the moment and it'll have a certain little badge on that moment saying this is the guy's first moment or this is the guy's rookie moment. So
okay,
for a rookie badge. So you're going to have those badges in the future. Sometimes it might say this is the guy's first basket in the NBA. Like, so they're going to have little things like that, which I think will add value to those rookie moments as well. Once those are added on, that's something. It's kind of like when you add a trading card, it says, rookie at the top, and it just kind of designates that this is the rookie moment or rookie card for that player. Same thing with this for rookies. So yeah. And obviously with those rookies, you hope that player could become the next Luka or next KD, and then you have a star player. So yeah, I was always someone that went after rookie trading cards when I was younger. So I love going after these rookie moments and seeing if I can, grab one of these guys' moments before they take off and become a star. So that's been my approach. And then again, going back to just my belief that this is only going to continue growing, I think the Series 1 moments, basically right now we're at Series 2. It's basically just different batches of cards or batches of moments is what this is. So Series 1s were the first ones ever made. So I think those will hold value over time. So if this takes off down the road, it's like having, if you could go back and say you have the first ever kind of basketball trading card ever made, that's going to be worth something significant. So if you have a LeBron James from the Series 1, it was the first batch they ever made of these Top Shot moments, and not only like just NBA Top Shot, but if eventually this expands and we see that there's NFL moments and MLB moments and NHL and all that too, NBA was first. So years from now, if all these sports have these different moments and stuff like that, and you have a moment from the first series, from the first sport to adopt this, I think that could be worth a lot. So I've been going after the Series 1 moments especially too. That's kind of been my approach. I mean, Oliver, what is there anything else that you would add for like a beginner, like something they should target?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'd add is just buy into people that you believe in, because whether it goes, and also, first of all, my big strategy that I tell anybody is make sure whatever money you're putting in, you don't expect to get out, because that's always been my frame of reference whenever I do something like this, where there is a lot of unknown. And I'm not going to lie about that. There is a lot of different things that are moving, and they're moving very fast, and prices change very swiftly. So for me, be prepared with whatever money you decide to invest in this, that you're not going to get it back out. And then you'll always be happy with whatever you have in there. I'm not saying that it's a bad investment. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that simply you have to know that there is a risk involved in whatever you're purchasing or buying, and to simply be very smart about what you're getting. And to me, the only way to really approach this is to say, okay, either A, I'm in it to make like as much money as I can, and in which case you're probably going to have to wait for a pack to really 10x, 20x, 30x your money very quickly. Other than that, the other alternative, like Alex said, was either Series 1 moments should hold value long term, and any of the superstars, LeBron James. I've heard some people mention, the players that are closer to retirement may not have as many moments as a lot of other players. So talk about a guy like Mike Conley. This may be his only All-Star game. So, and we don't know how much longer Mike Conley is going to be in the league. So that could be an interesting look at. A guy like Andre Iguodala, who's actually, obviously not in the league right now, and you could potentially get some of his Series 1 moments for very, very cheap. That would be another guy. But like, everybody has their own opinion on how they want to invest. Rookies are great. But I think if you're looking to just jump in and kind of dabble a little bit, I always suggest going in a little bit cheaper, buying like a $30 to $50 moment of a guy that you like, and just watch it over the course of a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and kind of see where it goes.
And so these conversations are being had on your show, NBA Top Shot Weekly. You guys also mentioned the value of the NBA Top Shot community. Tell me more about that community and what you can learn from that and how active they are.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, they're really, really active and they're really passionate about Top Shot. That's one of the reasons why we started the show, NBA Top Shot Weekly, is because we just saw there was this huge base of people that are obsessed with Top Shot like we are. And that, there's a Discord server, for example, that has just tons of people on it that all day long are talking Top Shot, asking when packs are dropping. They're super invested in this. So I think right now, whenever they do a drop, there tends to be about 30 or 350,000 people that are waiting in line trying to get it. And I mean, think about this though. You and I mean, we all know how many NBA fans that there are in the world. Like that number seems like a lot right now, especially for a company that is in beta that just started, less than a year ago. But imagine, I mean, once more NBA fans are learning about this and are trying to get on board, I think that number is only going to grow. So yeah, I think in December they had like 30,000 users, and they've blown up since then. Only did one endorsement deal, like I said, with Tyler Hero. So it's only getting bigger, but the community is very passionate. And I think part of this too is whenever you are invested in Top Shot, you want to share the news with everyone around you. You want to tell other people, oh, hey, check this out. And I know like a lot of people, they get really into it because they, either have watched our show or they've seen something online. And then like we've heard from people that say, oh, well, that all their friends are now interested in it too, because it's contagious and all their friends, started buying it. And that's happened to me. Like all of a sudden my wife and my brother-in-law and all these people in my life now are like entering these drops and trying to get packs. And they're like,
you see it on Twitter all the time.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, it's a very passionate group. I know Mark Cuban, he even said on our show that when he tries to, because there's a lot of NFTs for people that don't know, there's art NFTs and, music NFTs. And he basically said when he's trying to determine what kind
Explain
of
an NFT real quick, just so people know.
Oliver, you're going to do better.
Non-fungible token. It's just basically anything that you would want to purchase on the internet and own, like have a rightful owner too. Most of the time it's in the form of like a digital art piece or a digital image of some sort, but essentially somebody has put this on the blockchain, registered it, has a contract for it, and essentially you can buy that moment or that collectible of any sort. It can be art, like I said, it could be a token, it could be music. There's so many different variables with it, but essentially anything that you would want to purchase on the internet and have ownership of is essentially a non-fungible token is what that stands for, or NFT.
And that's where like
go ahead, Alex, just real quick. This is going to be my second reminder. Anything you don't understand in our conversation, go online, Google it, because you'll get a better familiarity with it, and it'll make you enjoy this more. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, and that's where, like, again, if that's where you get the royalties. So if it continues to sell, then you get royalties. And some people, like I know Luca has talked about with Mark Cuban about making his own NFT, and I think Rob Gronkowski made like an NFT of him catching a touchdown pass. So like, there's a lot of just Mark Cuban even said in our show that he created one of him just walking into the gym. Like, so anyone can really go create an NFT and sell it, but with Top Shot, these are specific kinds of NFTs. But yeah, I mean, I think. I forgot where we were going with this, but it's funny because like my wife and people in my life weren't interested in this at all. And then the other day she's running in the room and is like, there's a pack drop now. We got to go do this. She got like the notification about it. So yeah, I think it's getting bigger and bigger. And I think, that's what it was. Mark Cuban had said whenever he's looking at what kind of NFTs to invest in, he looks for the most active communities. And he said there's no community that's bigger or more rabid right now than Top Shot. So that's why he's putting money in this, more so than just the technology and everything like that. He believes in the community. And I think that's a big reason why people are really investing in this and going all in on this.
And that's where that whole question started, with the activity of this NBA Top Shot community. We're taping here on March 22nd, and Oliver, I'm going to guess that you've got an idea about this. To this date, what have been some of the biggest sales? I mean, big numbers, bing, 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 that have happened in the NBA Top Shot community. And hold on to your seats, everybody, because I think it's going to be impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we just had a LeBron moment sell for over $200,000 the other day. There's probably been like 6 to 8 high six-figure, like 180, 150, 160. The highest record sale is 250. I think there was one, I want to say he broke the record the other day at 280,000. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he broke the record at 280,000 for another LeBron moment. It's a Kobe tribute dunk. It's been a very, very,
Oh, wow.
very popular one that people have talked about because
Sure.
obviously the historical significance, the fact that Kobe and licensing may not ever happen. So there's a big thing around that. One of my friends, Jack Settleman, who was very early on in this NFT space, went in with a bunch of people to buy the number 23 dunk, Kobe tribute dunk at 100,000, I think it was, around 2.5 months ago. And so at that time, that was the largest sale, and people were calling him crazy and nuts and like, why are you doing this and all this stuff. And now you look at a Kobe tribute, I think it was number 12, selling for 280,000. Well, that $100,000 investment as a jersey number, probably looking more like 500,000 or 600,000 at this point. So he's probably made a pretty big buck on it at this point.
It's funny, Oliver, because I heard you on your show and on this show say 10x your money, 20x your money, 30x your money, and you're like, what? But
Yeah.
It's real. It's happening
Very
for
real.
some people out there. And so this gets me to either you guys or both you guys take this one. What do you feel like the short term and medium term outlook is for this market? So maybe a month from now and maybe 6 months to a year from now.
I'll let Alex go.
Well, it's interesting because we had a day, I would say maybe a month ago, where there was $43 million in sales. And it's when everyone was kind of talking about Top Shot. It was shortly after Mark Cuban had blogged about it and Gary Vee had talked about it. So people were just flooding to Top Shot and buying moments. And at that point in time, the cheapest moments on the site were like $30. We saw all of the prices across the board increase. And that's, and I think now if you go to the website, the cheapest moments are $9, $10. So I know they've, those are coming back down. Now they have, moments that instead of just being out of 15,000 as the, common moments, now they're out of 35,000. So I do think the entry level is a little bit better now for people. You don't have to spend $30-$40 just if you want to buy your first moment. And then that way, if you can't get a pack and you want to just enter in the marketplace, you can do that. So we haven't seen a day like that $43 million day again. And like Oliver said, today it's $7 million. It's been a little bit down recently. But I think short term, I think you're going to continue to see the user base grow. And that's the big thing. They're not even doing any kind of promotion yet or marketing yet. That's been the big thing that's interesting to me. Everything right now has been organic, and people like Mark Cuban and Gary Vee and Terrence Ross and Josh Hart and other players, they're talking about it. That's where their user base comes from. They've had opportunities to market elsewhere and do other endorsement deals with players and everything like that, but they're just really not doing it because keep in mind, they're in beta. They've had some issues with technology where they have people flood the site and then they have to delay their launch, delay their drops, or the site crashes or things like that. So I think they're trying to figure everything out on their end as far as the technology and just get their processes right. And then that way, when they do have 1 million users, they're able to handle that. So I know that's been their big focus, trying to make sure that's not a problem. But as far as the market, I think, I'm curious to see what happens a year from now. That's really what I want to see.
Okay, Oliver, you were early adopter. What do you see in 2022 March?
Yeah.
Where are we with this thing?
Yeah, I think it's a very different marketplace in 2022. I think you're going to see a big disparity between one moment and the next. Right now, I think people are just buying whatever they possibly can and just saying, hey, I've got a great moment, I've got a great thing. And then you actually look at the moment and, well, okay, while I think this assist to so-and-so is great, there's also 7 other moments of him dunking and ferociously, posterizing someone else. So why would I prefer this assist, which is $500, when I could get the dunk that's $800? So I think at some point in time, you're going to start to see this disparity where, like the Luka step back, that's why I mention it, is because I think that's like, for me, there's going to be a lot more value in those moments, those ones that you really remember, because that's what it's built for. I think long term is it's built for that special moment, that special game winner. That the first NBA basket I think is huge. I think LeBron in the finals, like I'll take any LeBron in the finals moment over any generic kind of LeBron assist during the season. So for me, I think we're going to start to see a world in which maybe a Damian Lillard assist is $10 and maybe a Damian Lillard game winner is $1,000. So there could be more disparity than less. And I think with more people jumping in, you're going to see those entry points start to kind of change around a little bit.
Weirdly, there may be no person alive more closely associated with NBA highlights over the past 20 years than me, which is crazy. So I've got this mental Rolodex of a gajillion plays in my mind. I wonder where that one is. I wonder what that one is. Is there a way to check and reference, okay, is this been minted into a moment yet? How do you go about that? And again, I'm asking a dumb question probably.
No.
Is there a way?
Yeah, there is. So you can go on the marketplace at any time, type in any player that is on the NBA Top Shot site, and you can find all their moments, and you can go through them one by one to kind of figure out which moment is from which. To your point, like, can you search a game or can you search a timeline? You could kind of dwindle it down by basically
like if I wanted to search Steph 40-footer against Oklahoma City, could I?
Yeah, I don't think you could do exactly that. You could basically, when was that moment? That was last year?
No, that was like probably
2015
or 16, something like that, right?
So that would be a Series 1 moment. So for instance, when we're down the road here, I'm sure that there's going to be a way to source by team they played, right now as it stands, you could filter Steph Curry, and then you could filter to Series 1, and then you'd pull up probably 3 to 5 moments tops. And you could probably recognize, okay, this one's against OKC because he's probably against an OKC player. A lot of the moments you'll see whoever they're playing against in the image.
You are able to search by game date on there.
Game date as well, exactly.
Yeah, so like if you knew the date of the Steph Curry, if you had the exact date,
that makes it much easier. Much easier. Yeah, you could tackle it that way. You guys touched on it earlier. Do you see this going to other sports? Is there going to be like a Tom Brady moment at some point? Do you see that happening? Can you imagine that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost feels inevitable, right?
It feels inevitable that Alex is going to drop $20,000 on a a Tom Brady moment at some point.
Hey, man.
I'm sorry, Alex's wife.
I have to. Yeah, I apologize too. No, but yeah, I think we are going to see that in the near future. I know that they already have a licensing deal with UFC, so you're already going to see some, MMA type moments probably in the future, or some kind of NFT. I don't even know if they have a name for it yet, but I know that they have the deal in place. And then I'm doing a big article on Top Shot where I've interviewed
where can people find that?
On basketballnews.com. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was a nice little alley-oop there.
There you go.
Yeah, that's going to be coming out very soon. And they basically said, like, look, we would love to have Odell Beckham's one-handed catch eventually as a moment. We'd love to have, great base, MLB plays as a moment. So, yeah, I think this is going to expand to other sports. I think one thing that we're seeing now, too, is that initially, like, even the NBA early on didn't quite get this. Like, they weren't really understanding. And then if you look at the Series 1 moments, the amount of highlights that were given to Top Shot to kind of make the moments were very limited. So you'll see like there's rare moments and common moments for the players, and it's the same highlight because they were only given one highlight to use for each player early on. And then as the NBA kind of saw the popularity grow, they were like, oh, okay, we get it now. And it's completely changed things. I think the same thing's happening where the NFL and Major League Baseball and the NHL, they're seeing the popularity of this and realizing, oh, okay, we probably need to get involved in this. I think there was a report the other day that the owners are meeting about possible NFT options and ways that they can kind of, I think they told teams, don't do anything on your own. We're probably going to do something as a league. So the NFL is definitely looking into it. Now, I don't know if it's going to be with Top Shot or what, that's not really clear, but I know Top Shot does have interest in expanding. So I'd be stunned if a year or two from now, we don't have other sports.
It'd almost be crazy not to at this point. Let's talk about, we talked about the future of NBA Top Shot. Let's talk about the future of NBA Top Shot Weekly. This is you guys' show. You start off pretty solid guess. Mark Cuban, not bad at all.
It's all
where do you
downhill
go
from
there? Yeah, is Michael Jordan on next? What's up next for you guys?
We have a bonus episode tonight actually with Trey Jones from the San Antonio Spurs and Josh Green from the Dallas Mavericks, and then every Thursday we have new episodes come out. Rudy Gobert is going to be joining us very soon. He's interested in Top Shot, so we'll have him on, and we're talking with a bunch of different other guests as well. We're hoping to get Gary Vee on pretty soon. We're talking with him, so yeah, I mean, we're really excited about it. We basically every week we just jump on, talk about the latest things that are happening with Top Shot and NFTs. We open up some rare packs. And like you said, I think the pack opening experience is really fun. So
Huge.
If you're new to this, I would recommend, even if it's not our show, I would say just go to YouTube and watch someone open a pack, because I do think you understand it more if you check that out, because you kind of see what that is all about. And then with our show, one thing we try to do is, we try to show what to look for when you're opening a pack. So, we watch the moment, we check out the serial number, we talk about, if it's a limited edition, if it's rare, basically we try to walk through it. And then sometimes we'll even jump on right afterwards and go right to the marketplace and say, okay, what is this worth? And so we have, I think, in the episode tonight, we actually pre-recorded the interview with Trey Jones, and he pulls like a really rare Ja Morant moment. Not to spoil it, and immediately we're all like freaking out because that thing's worth a couple $1,000. So
you guys know right away as soon as he opens it.
Yeah, I knew. I mean, I was just like bugging. I was like, oh, you got like one of the best moments out of the pack. That's what's fun about it, though, is the pack opening experience. You know that there is a pretty good percentage that you're going to get your money back, but there's a smaller percentage where you could really make out big. I mean, like for instance, the Mark Cuban pack. That's a $30,000 moment, and he, brushed it aside like nothing, but. There are moments like
he's a
that.
billionaire.
You pull a number 1 or a number 23 LeBron, or you pull, those sort of things have tons of value on the marketplace, no matter what the moment, no matter what the pack you're opening is.
Well, and we give away packs too. So we had a giveaway with Mark Cuban, and we gave 1 pack away. Tonight we're giving 2 packs away on this episode. And the person that we gave a pack away to last week, he pulled a LeBron moment, and that thing is worth at least $1,000. So we sent it to him, and he was freaking out whenever I reached out and told him that he had won. So that's been cool too, to be able to, so many people that have never been able to get a pack through Top Shot, because it is so competitive, they've been able to get their first pack through our show or get a LeBron moment. And we're actually doing a giveaway on April 1st where we got a rare LeBron moment. It's numbered out of 7,500. It's a really low serial number. It's 283. And I think right now it's valued at like $3,000, $4,000. We're giving that away on April 1st. So basically anyone that enters between now and April 1st, you're not only entered to win one of our pack giveaways that we do every week on the show, but you're also entered for this LeBron moment. So yeah, we're really excited about that. Everyone, you can enter, by the way, at basketballnews.com/topshot. And yeah, it's been fun to give things away to people too, because a lot of people, again, haven't been able to grab a pack, and this has been their first time opening one. So it's been a lot of fun.
I fully recommend for people who are interested in this to go and watch you guys show. Guys, tell me where people should go if they want even more info on this. Like where can we go to learn about this, to read about this? What are some of the, where's this Top Shot community? Where can people find all this stuff? I just want people to have as much information as possible.
Definitely. I mean, the Top Shot Discord is a great place to start, first of all. So if you go to NBATopShot.com, you can find all the information about not only Discord, but like just in general, the marketplace. You can kind of peruse through there. I mean, that's how I started. I just went on the website to kind of like see what the heck these values are, what makes sense, what doesn't, what moments are on there, what packs are available.
Were you skeptical at first, Oliver? Or
yeah, I mean, I was literally, I mean, I have texts from Jack in like mid-December, and I'm like, I don't quite understand, like, I don't own the item, but I do. How does this like, and he's like, I'm going to tell you right now, if you haven't gotten past the physical part yet, then I can't help you. and so I was like, okay, now I need to know more. He almost played it off as if like he didn't want me involved. And I can understand why, because he was trying to buy all the moments while I was sitting back and watching. But that really triggered me to do my own research by going to the website, by going and then buying them. Like I said, the packs were very accessible. Buy a pack, open it up. Okay, I understand it completely. Once you open a pack, it changes your life.
It changes everything.
It changes
your whole. There are tons of like articles now. Like Brian Windhorst wrote a great one at ESPN. Like now versus like in January, there's been a lot of like the what is Top Shot articles that have been written by The Athletic and ESPN, a lot of these like big outlets, and those help a lot too. Like that's been one of the positives of this thing blowing up. You have tons of mainstream media writing about this and kind of breaking down what it is. So if you want like just Top Shot 101 entry level to like learn all the basics and why, those articles have been great too. I'll say that.
Definitely. But there's people all over the community that you can reach out to. I mean, like the Twitter community, if you just type in NBA Top Shot, you'll find all sorts of accounts that are associated. You can reach out directly to them. They'll be happy to answer your questions. I don't want to volunteer anybody in particular, but they're available. They're resources. The Discord is amazing. If you just said, hey, I'm new to Top Shot, what should I do? People are going to reply to you and say, hey, this is what I would do. Hey, this is what it's a pretty welcoming community, and everybody wants to see everyone succeed genuinely, whether that be with more moments or with more money in your pocket, whatever the case may be. It's a really cool community.
So I'm curious to know, I listened to Mark Cuban on your show, and his mind just seems open to everything, to change, to new technology, and it just accepts the information, understands what's good, what's bad really well. I'm trying to figure out, for somebody that doesn't understand it as well, what are some things that need to be made easier to get these hurdles down for people who just aren't quite like that they don't just accept change that quickly?
That's a good question. I think, again, the physical thing is the hardest part, because people can just look up the highlights elsewhere. So if they're thinking, like, if that's your thought, that why am I buying this to go watch the highlight? Because, and I would argue, a lot of people aren't just watching, buying it so they can pull up the highlight on their phone and sit there watching the same highlight over and over again all day. That's not what it's about. You have to really view it once. For me, whenever I was able to kind of start understanding it, it was kind of like Oliver said, viewing it through the trading card lens, where I'm not going to sit there staring at a trading card all day either. That's not what it's about. It's about having the thing and collecting it, and, viewing, oh, wow, that only 100 of these exist. So, it has that value because it's rare. So I think I think for me, it's just starting to view it as a trading card and versus as a highlight that you see online, because it's just too confusing if you're thinking of it as a highlight online. So that was what was helpful for me. Oliver, what would you say for people that,
Yeah, I'd also say, like, if you know anything about the stock market, I'd really, really recommend. There's two websites I really like gleaming information from, whether it be like statistics or like for the nominal, like, dollar figure side of things. If you go to evaluate.market, they have great resources on how many moments have been sold, what they're selling for, what their price is at, all the different players' moments. They have like charts that you can look over. So if you're like a nerd or like to like look at some of that stuff, I personally think that really helps, because it gives a market cap for like how much each moment is going for, why it's going for this much, where it was last week, where it was this week, and it's all charted out. So it's really easy for me to understand. Now, for some other people, it may not be. The other part that I referenced too is, I remember, I think it was Jack, somebody early on, and he's like, "Have you ever gotten a sports card signed before?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've gotten a sports card signed, and I have one back here. That's Ahmad Rashad, NBA TV, in his
There you go.
Minnesota Vikings jersey." But guess
Yeah,
what?
man.
That I have to send in somewhere to get it verified, because it's still not. I haven't sent it in yet. So I know it was signed by him, but guess what? If I turned around and put that on eBay, somebody would think I just wrote his signature on there. So what's great about Top Shot that I think people can't really fully grasp or understand is that I'm not doing any of that. It's already verified. It's on the site. I purchased the moment. It's already registered in my name. And so for me, I don't have to deal with the hassle of sending it in, getting it graded, getting it, whatever the case may be, getting it back here, shipping, packaging, selling it, trying to list it on eBay and say, hey, it's signed by Ahmad Rashad, but it really isn't, or whatever the case may be. All those little factors factored into me saying, okay, I need to give this a try. And then once I gave it a try, I was all in. That was where I went. But evaluate.market and Moment Ranks, both of those sites, I would highly encourage anyone looking at this to at least just go to the website, type in 2 or 3 moments, and just see what I'm talking about, because it's really hard to understand without some form of how much people are putting into this, and kind of looking at like how the values change and fluctuate over time.
One thing I'll say too, and it's really what you make of it. Like, I know some people are viewing this from like a daily fantasy angle, where they'll buy a player's moment and they hope that, he has 3 or 4 big games, maybe on national TV, and then they can flip it a week from now and make some money on it. There's some people that are buying it and viewing it as like a long-term investment, like a trading card, and they're going to buy it. They're going to sit on it for 2 years and hope that this rookie becomes the next LeBron James, and that they have something worth a ton down the road. Some people are, it's really what you make of it. People have different approaches to it, but that's why I think you have some people are viewing it like gambling, and they're hoping to buy a pack and get lucky and then just sell all of it. Like, it's really appealing to people who are from different, hobbies like trading card and daily fantasy. I think that's a big thing too. So, or the stock market, like you said, Oliver, like people have been, with evaluate.market, you can track how much your account value has gone up since you started it. You can look at each of your moments and see, is it down today? Is it up today? So it really does appeal to people who, come from all those different, find Top Shot from those different avenues. I would say it really is what you make of it. Like, I've heard people have very different approaches all within Top Shot. It's very,
I mean, yeah. The other thing too. I mean, I think it's really hilarious and fun to go through. If you go to the community side of the Top Shot website, you can then search, and there's actually a bar of all the verified users. So they're all NBA or former NBA players. And like, for instance, like my buddy Scalambrini over here is hoarding Daniel Tice moments. He has like 7 of them in his account, 9 of them in his account. I don't know why he likes Daniel Tice. I don't know. But it's interesting to see, like, okay, he's hoarding these. Rajon Rondo, he's got like 4 or 5 Rajon Rondo moments. He used to play with Rajon. That makes a lot of sense, right? So I think it's just fun. Genuinely speaking, like going to Mark Cuban's account and seeing what he's purchasing and what he's buying and what he's selling and what he's like.
And that's all transparent. It's all transparent.
It's all transparent. You can see everything. I mean, right now I can go, like, I'm on the Top Shot website. I'm on Scal's account right now. If I go to his overview, he's not selling anything right now, so he's not super active. But if you go to like Terrence Ross is using this as an opportunity to have like a digital autograph. So essentially, if you or I went to Terrence Ross's account, you could see that he's selling like 3 or 4 moments, and he's selling them for way above market value. But he's doing it because he knows that if I paid $1,000 for that, it would say that I purchased that moment from Terrence Ross. So essentially, it's like a digital autograph.
And that adds value.
And that adds value. People have attached value to that. So
and his name will always be in there in the blockchain. Like, so if that thing gets sold 100 times, you could go back and see, oh, at one point, Terrence Ross owned this moment. And it's a moment of Terrence Ross dunking. That's like an autograph. Yeah.
And here's the way to think of that. And I've got a way to think about that. Down the street from me, there is a house that used to be the set for a movie called Driving Miss Daisy. That house is worth more because it was where Driving Miss Daisy was filmed than all the other houses on the street. It's a similar thing. When Terrence Ross is involved, it adds value.
When someone, and I'll use this example too. It's actually, as an NBA fan, it's hilarious to watch this because when Kristaps Porzingis' name was coming up in the trade market, I immediately jumped to Mark Cuban's account to see if he had any Kristaps moments and if he was selling them or if he was buying. I was just having fun. I was just having fun with it. I mean, you could really go down a rabbit hole.
Shams.
But look he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He has 7 Kristaps moments. I think he knows that he's coming back and playing for the Mavs. And look.
So this is the fun again, though, Oliver. This is the fun.
Exactly.
And what at the base of all of this. It's a hobby. It's a hobby,
and it's fun to do. And I enjoy, like, every night before bed, I'm taking 10 minutes of my day and I'm going on the Top Shot website and I'm going through the marketplace and I'm just literally just scrolling through stuff. Like, oh, this looks like a good one. Oh, and like the other day I had like a $2,000 Dapper balance and I was going through all my things. I ended up streaming on my Twitch account and I just asked my chat, like, which one should I get? And I had like 4 different moments that I had shown him, and we went with this Michael Porter Jr. moment. So now there's 4 other people that chose for me to invest in this one, and I decided to do it for the fun of it. But all of that is interesting to me. It's just like the dynamic of having like there's never been truly a stock market for the NBA. There has been things like it. There have been things similar to it, but really nothing as close as what this is. And I think that is what makes it so intriguing is any day Michael Porter Jr. could have a 40-point game and I could say, you know what? I'm ready to sell this thing. And guess what? I could probably make a little bit of money off of it. Or I could hold on to it and hopefully he becomes an all-star and a perennial all-star. I think all those conversations are just so unique and interesting. And you tie that into kind of the digital collectible space and how much that's blown up. I love everything about it. And that's what makes this so unique to me. And that's why, like, me and Alex decided to do the show is just all these people love talking Top Shot. They may not even be basketball fans. The NBA may have converted a lot of people to basketball fans from Top Shot.
And at the end of the day, that's it, right? At the end of the day, for the NBA, it's eyes on the league. It's
eyes on the league and revenue, both of them.
Oh yeah.
My wife is obsessed with Top Shot. She doesn't watch NBA games. She knows the biggest players, like she knows LeBron and star players, but she's as excited about opening a pack without knowing who the guys are. You know, she thinks it's fun. It's a collectible thing.
And if you're a big corporation, there's sponsorship, partnership opportunities. At some point, I was thinking about it. I could see inside the NBA, Charles Barkley opening a pack live on the show at some point down the road. I mean, I think it's going in that direction. I think it's getting that big. And I want to thank you guys for enduring my inane questions, my elementary questions. Thank you so much for spending an hour with us. I wish you all the best with the show and with this whole NBA Top Shot thing. It's absolutely fascinating.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
we need to bring you on our show and have you open up a pack. Have you opened a pack before?
Announce a pack opening. Announce a pack opening.
Yes.
100% do that. I've never opened a pack. The first time I ever saw a pack open was on your show, and it changed the whole thing. The way it changed for you guys, the same way it changed for me. I felt differently about it when I saw that presentation of a pack opening.
So we need to have you on, open a pack of your own, and then
we need to get a player.
Yeah.
We need to get a player on with you, and you're gonna you're gonna announce the player's pack opening, and then we're also gonna have you announce your own pack. That would be super.
100%. I will ad lib that right away.
I love it. We need to make that happen. But yeah, thank you so much for having us on. We appreciate it.
All right, thanks again to Alex and Oliver, and thanks to the growing numbers out there that are now enjoying our show. Believe me, we see you. And remember, if you like the experience, give us a rating, like the show, and please, please, please subscribe. Also, if you want to reach out directly to me, I'm active on Twitter at NBABeau. That's NBABEAU. Sports Business Classroom, also active on Twitter. That's Sports Biz Class, Sports BIZ Class. And once again, thanks so much for listening.